So I know it can be really frustrating to be a drummer, but not know what level you are at your drumming. This is a challenge I myself had in my drumming journey earlier on. I was practicing, I knew I was progressing, I knew I was getting better, but there was just this thing. I wanted to know if I was a beginner, if I was an intermediate, or if I was getting close to advanced. And this struggle continued for a while until I stumbled into some resources, some videos that really let me know where I was and how to classify myself at that time. So I'm going to be showing you guys a modified version of that ranking system because I've gathered a lot of experience lately and I feel like I can rank these categories better. Now I'm making this video because you guys asked for it, and I would love you to pay close attention to the end so you can learn how to properly track your progress through this drumming journey. It's very important. So before we get into the ranking, the first thing I would love to tell you guys is more like a warning. Please, I will need you to be as honest as possible with yourselves in this process, because there is no machine that is going to check you out. You're going to be honest. You're going to pick the things I'm saying and check if you can actually do them. Now, I've noticed something among drummers. If you've checked very well, some intermediate drummers feel like they are pros already, while some advanced drummers, most advanced drummers, always have this mindset of they are not good enough yet. So I want you to be very honest with yourself during this process. One thing about these advanced drummers is they've understood that as you go higher into the sky, it seems to get wider. So the first category we're dealing with today is the beginner category. And if you're not in this category, if you feel like you're not in this category, you can skip, though I seriously advise you do not skip this phase, because you can pick one or two things that you didn't learn while you were in this phase. Now, this beginner category is shared into 3 subcategories. And the first one out of these 3 subcategories is like the first beginner. So this is someone that is just picking up the drums for the first time, trying to learn how to grip your sticks properly. If you're in that phase, learn how to grip your sticks, learning how to hit the drums, the right part to hit. Because if you've been playing drums for a long time, you feel like everybody can hit the drum right. No, that's not true. Some people might hit their thumb and just hit it at the wrong place and hear things like this. You understand? So one other thing is learning how to hit your bass drum properly. Yes, some people struggle with beginners, like starting off, don't know how to hit their bass drum. They're going to struggle with the right techniques and all of that. Now, this subcategory consists of people that are in this phase, ranging to people that are just learning their first drum beat. The first drum beat, I myself have made a video on this first drum beat that every beginner drummer learns. It sounds something like this. And one thing about drummers in this subcategory is that at this point, their grip is still shaky. I'm saying all of this because I've taught lots of students, and I can tell you this is a procedure I've seen them go through. At this point, you're learning your first groove, but your grip is still shaky. The intensity, the volume is not. If a beginner at this point was to play the same groove I just played, it's going to sound something like this. Do you see the inconsistencies? I'm trying so hard to play like a beginner. I'm not one, but you see something, they struggle with things like this. They can't open the hi-hat yet because they've not built independence yet. At this point, they can't open the hi-hat. So they just primarily keep the hi-hat locked or take their legs off the hi-hat. Now, one of the things that drummers in this category can be conversant with is, at this point, they know just like few rudiments, the basic rudiments like singles and doubles. They can't play it so well. In fact, they're just learning about it. They just heard about it and maybe they have just been shown how to play it. They can't play it very well. So at this point, you know the rudiments. You can just play the singles with the shaky grip and everything. Do you understand? Now, after weeks or months of consistent practice, everything I stated in the previous subcategory gets better. Now, at this point, the grips get a little bit more firm. They're firmer, and then the volume across the drums is now more consistent. Like what I was telling you earlier, if at the beginner level, that first level you were playing like, at this point, there is more balance. Now you can begin to hear it sounding. Do you understand? Struggles with 4-limb coordination drastically, reduces. Because at that subcategory, in case I didn't mention it there's this struggle with learning how to play grooves like this. Your right leg is tempted to do what your right hand is doing. Your left hand is tempted to do what there's that confusion. At this point, that confusion is drastically reduced. And basically, like I said earlier on, everything in the first subcategory gets better. Now, the next subcategory is the exit phase from the beginner category. Now, at this point, you've learned everything about the drums, basically, the basic things about the drum. And now you're also learning how to play fills. At this point, you know how to play fills at the right time in the music. Not perfectly yet, but you know if you're playing a groove, you know that you should play it for like 4 measures and then you play your fill. You just understand how it works in the music. Something like this. So just like I was saying, at this point, you know when to apply fills, basic fills in the music when playing with the band. And at this point, sometimes you can be misunderstood for an intermediate drummer, like an entry-level intermediate drummer. That's when you know you're beginning to gradually move out of that phase of being a beginner drummer. Everything about your grip has gotten so much better. Your foot, you can hit the bass drum right. Coordination challenges, independence challenges, they're all reduced drastically. Now, talking about the next category, which is the intermediate category, this one is also shared into 3 subcategories. When it comes to this topic of changing categories, moving from beginner to intermediate, I want you to understand that it is not time-based. Some people might tell you, once you play drums for 5 months, 6 months, you should become an intermediate drummer. It's not true. Time is only a factor when you are improving your skills and acquiring knowledge. If you keep, let's say you're practicing once a week, and you keep doing that for 6 months, you can't compare your growth to someone that is practicing every day for the same 6 months. So time is only a factor when you're growing. So now at the entry phase of being an intermediate drummer, basically you should have understood everything about the beginner phase of playing. Everything I said in the beginner categories, you should know everything there. Now your focus is going to be taken to some other aspects of the drumming now. Something like flexibility. You hear me talk about flexibility on this channel, and I always tell you that flexibility is an asset because it helps you. Once you're flexible, something comes to your mind, you can play it. And how do you improve flexibility most times? You have to play something and constantly increase the pace of what you're playing. Let's say we're trying to improve flexibility around the drums. We just round these 3 toms. If you keep playing like this, if you keep doing this, you're doing something good. You're playing a very nice feel at that pace. But flexibility, you're not as flexible as someone that practices it and keeps increasing the pace. But you have something like this. Or even faster. So I'm not saying that this entry phase of being an intermediate, you should be able to play as fast as this. There's no yardstick to how fast it should be or whatever. But I just feel like you should start concentrating on things that will help you improve your flexibility. What does it mean? Pick up your rudiments, your singles, your doubles, and try to play them faster than usual. I don't focus on speed, but there's a point you get in your drumming, you need to start thinking about speed after techniques has been gotten properly. And just like I spoke about your hands, this applies also to your foot. At this level of being an entry intermediate player, you should be better with your foot. You know, things like the double kick. At this point, you should be able to play a double kick. You know, there are faster ways to play a double kick. You know, when you have things like, you might not be able to do that one right now, but at least at this point, you should be able to play your double kick. And just in case you can't play it, just watch my foot and see how I do it. I have a technique which I use to play my double kick. So this part of my leg just goes down once, but then it's like my ankle is letting it move twice. You might be in this category, but not able to do this. It's simple. Just learn it. Pay attention to it and learn it. Now, also one thing you should be able to do in this phase of being an entry intermediate drummer is you should be able to play multiple genres of music, multiple styles. And I'm not putting this burden on you to go and start learning all the styles. Even if it's like 5 to 6 styles, be able to play them in their most basic form. You should be able to play funk in its basic form, salsa in its basic form. If you're an African drummer, you should be able to play multiple grooves to an extent, and basically just have more grooves in your arsenal of grooves as an intermediate drummer. Also, one other thing you're supposed to be able to do at this level is you should begin to start learning how to score songs very basically. You pick up a song and listen out for the changes that occur with the drum parts at certain points in the song. So now in the middle subcategory of being an intermediate drummer is where you're not considered a full-blown intermediate drummer. A drummer at this level is expected to know quite a lot of things, which starts first with knowing every single thing that an entry-level intermediate drummer should know. So everything I talked about, the entry level, you should know how to do all these things. So some of the numerous things I expected of a drummer that is in this category is, first of all, ability to apply rudiments while playing. So at this point, you know rudiments now, but you can actually apply them while playing. Yes, because it's not just to know a rudiment. Many drummers don't know how to apply rudiments while playing. The second thing you should know how to do here is, now you know how to add embellishments to grooves. When you're playing any style, different styles, you can just add embellishments. Some of these embellishments can be ghost notes. Okay, let me show you guys an example of what I'm saying. Now, ghost notes, let's say we're just playing a basic funk groove that should sound like this. So this same groove I can play it as. See what I just did there? You have a groove, but there's something that ghost note can just do, adding a ghost note to your playing. And that thing you can add as an embellishment can be, very fast doubles, like I showed you guys earlier. And when you're playing a feel, you can just play, not just, now we're doing, most times this kind of thing comes just before you hit something else. So what I'm just doing here, so make a groove better by just adding these few embellishments. So aside this, something else you should also be able to do is the ability to score songs faster. We talked about learning songs in the previous category, but here, your speed in learning songs should be faster. Not advanced songs, obviously. Songs within your ability or within your level, so you can be able to score them faster than usual. That's something you should be able to do by this category. One other thing you should be able to do is to improvise in certain situations. Now, if you find yourself with a band with musicians you do not know, you should be able to flow with them properly. If something goes wrong with your drumming, something goes wrong with your drums on stage, you should know how to improvise. At this point now, you're getting close to becoming a professional, so there are things you should know how to do. So another thing you should have in your arsenal by this time is improved techniques, dynamics. Something like the rim shot. I hope you know what a rim shot is. A rim shot is when you're playing your snare drum. Normally, most drummers will play their snare drum like this. Drummers in the beginner and intermediate category, they'll play it like this. But now there's something that you can do here. The rim shot is not this. This is called the cross stick. So the rim shot is when you have this part of your stick. I'll show you from this angle. This part of your stick, and then this part. This part is hitting this hoop here, and this hits the center of the stick. So we have this. At this point, drummers before this category can be struggling to hit accurate rim shots. They can be playing a groove and be hearing things like, are you hearing those things I'm doing? But someone in this category should be able to play it flawlessly. So even without looking at it, you're hitting it correctly. That's one thing you should be able to do. The next thing you should be able to do comfortably in this category is to be able to play with backing tracks, loops, metronome. Whenever the metronome is turned on, at this point, you no longer be having those issues with, falling behind in the tempo or running too fast. These are things you should have. And something related to this is something that is called the inner clock. Every drummer has an inner clock. Our inner clock is not always as accurate as a metronome. The metronome is just like, if 60 BPM, it moves exactly like the seconds. Boom, boom. But the inner clock of a human being cannot be as accurate as that. But as the journey proceeds, as you progress in this journey, your inner clock gets better. What do I mean? I, for one, when I play drums sometimes and something goes wrong and the backing track, like I'm playing on stage with my band, and something happens, the ability to try to stick around within that tempo until it comes back and meets you that you're still around that tempo. So your inner clock should have improved. There's tendency to, once that thing stops, once the track stops, you start speeding up just to catch up with the hype. Do you understand? So at this point, you have a very improved inner clock. Now onto the highest phase of being an intermediate drummer. And this is the phase where most pro drummers claim to belong. When you ask so many pro drummers, they will tell you, I feel like I'm a high intermediate player. And one thing about most of them is they're already gigging drummers, they're playing in gigs, they're already recording drummers, they're already performing drummers. Here, every single skill in the previous categories are present and very much improved, with addition of things like freedom of expression in different time signatures, a high level of coordination between their hands, foot, increased flexibility and speed. And one thing I noticed from drummers in this category is they can easily pick stuff from videos without looking for a breakdown or anything. They can just watch a video, see what the person is doing, and easily learn it because they already have knowledge of so many rudiments and things that they know that it's possible this person can do. So they just get on the drums, sounds like this, and they pick it very quickly. Now, regards to the advanced category. Now, this is a category that honestly I can't speak so much about because I don't feel like I'm there yet. I'm obviously not there yet. The sky of this journey of drumming belongs to the people we call our models. To me, I have people that are models to me in this case. People like Chris Coleman. Chris Coleman is a name you easily hear me mention. Calvin Rogers. These are guys up there. And one thing about these guys is they've learned this craft so well. And every single thing I've mentioned in the previous categories, most times they have all of them, or most of these things. And they spent years upon years fine-tuning these things and gaining mastery over them. Something I want you guys to take away from this video is not a yardstick. Yes, because obviously I could not state everything that is required for you to know as an intermediate, as a beginner. I can't state everything. But this is just more like the basic form of ranking yourself. So don't take this as the gospel truth that once I can't do this, I'm not in this category, because there's some very advanced drummers I know that might not be able to play in different time signatures. Just it's not literally like you pick this thing and just take it and that's how it's meant to be. So if you're also experienced in this drumming journey and you have more things to add to the things I said, please you can leave them in the comment section, the things you feel like beginners should know, intermediates should know, advanced should know. And if this video was helpful to you, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the very next video. Peace.